you a time vampire? Let's look in the mirror. Unlike in the movies, where you can't see a vampire, trust me, if you're a time vampire, you will be visible in a mirror. Let's find out. Most people think the biggest thing stealing their time is other people. Interruptions, meetings, distractions, conversations that go too long, yada, yada, yada. You know the feeling. It's those people, it's them, they keep interrupting me. Sometimes that's true. But also sometimes, let's be honest, the biggest time vampire in your life is much closer than that. It's your own behaviour. You're not doing it deliberately, but you're doing it sometimes. If you are doing it, you'll find out, because this will resonate. If you are doing it, you'll do it through patterns that quietly take time without delivering something meaningful in return. And the dangerous part is that those behaviours often feel productive while they're happening. But it's spinning the wheels. You ever hear the phrase, just spinning the wheels? As soon as I say it, I guarantee you, if you've been there, if you've felt it, you're busy, but it's not doing anything. Spinning the wheels. That's what makes those behaviours so hard to recognise, because you feel busy. But it's actually procrastination, doing the easy things that don't deliver much. Procrastination doesn't always look lazy. And perfectionism, that's a great one, that one. Perfectionism, I could devote many podcasts to perfectionism, but this is about time vampires. Hang on a minute, I just think I time vampired myself. Perfectionism doesn't always look harmful. Sometimes these behaviours, they look responsible, detailed, careful. You look busy, but underneath all that busyness, something important is happening, or not happening, as the case may be. Things that matter. Momentum is disappearing. My name is Brian Dance. I've spent more than 30 years working in business with leaders and high performers. And one thing about time that I've noticed again and again, a lot of people are not held back by capability lack. They're held back by repeated behaviours, their behaviours, mind you, that quietly drain time, energy and progress, but they never fully notice it. It's right in front of them, but they never stop to think. They don't see it. So this podcast episode is all about asking you the question, are you a time vampire for yourself? Again, let's look in the mirror. Let's look under the bonnet. Hello again, and welcome to The Long Way Forward. This is episode 40, the second one about time vampires. Today we're talking, in the last one we talked about external time vampires, other people. They are holding me back. They keep getting me to do things. Today we're talking about internal ones. You. Me. The behaviours, our habits that steal time from our futures without giving you much back in return. Now, before we go any further, if this series is helping you think differently or giving you things you can use, please take a moment to like, comment or subscribe. That'd be awesome. Now let's define this properly. A time vampire is any repeated pattern or behaviour that consumes time without creating meaningful progress. Like I said, spinning the wheels if you're the one doing it. And the reason these are so difficult to manage is because these behaviours often feel fully justified while they're happening. Let's look at two of the biggest ones, procrastination and perfectionism. Wow. Procrastination is the easy one to recognise, and I'll do it later. Hang on, time vampire. Procrastination, you delay things, you avoid things, you push it further down the road. Here's where people misunderstand procrastination though. It doesn't always look like nothing's happening. Sometimes it looks like you're doing everything except the one thing that actually matters. Guilty? We all are. You're busy cleaning your workspace, reorganizing your files, going through your emails, responding to emails, checking them repeatedly, researching endlessly. In sales, trust me, I've seen so many salespeople do this. Research, 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 research. Mate, pick up the phone, call the customer, find out what's important to them. It's that simple. Research, 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 paralysis by analysis. Time vampire right there. But while all of that is happening, all of that over preparation, we feel active, right? We feel busy. We're productive. But the important task still remains untouched, undone, not done. Customer hasn't been called. We don't know what's important to them, but we know all about them. That's a trap. Now, perfectionism is even more deceptive because perfectionism often disguises itself as high standards, that it's a time vampire. I just want to do it properly. I just want this to be right. That sounds responsible, right? Until it slows everything down. Small tasks take hours. Decisions become exhausting. You want it to be perfect though, right? Until refining becomes more important than finishing. Sometimes you just have to start. Just start. That advice came to me from a really clever bloke named Brad Tonini. If you get a chance, check his podcast out. A very clever man, Brad Tonini. So there's a shout out right there, mate. Just start. And on that, I'll also recommend a book that I read. It's called The Myth of Excellence. Why Great Companies Never Try to Be the Best at Everything. The Myth of Excellence. And just start. I mean, Nike said it kind of differently with just do it. But don't refine it till it's perfect. You'll never go anywhere. You end up in that thing I call paralysis by analysis. Overthinking, over-checking, over-refining. Without doing anything meaningful. Here's a really simple concept. I think perfectionism is often fear, wearing a mask called quality. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough. So instead of starting, instead of finishing, people keep adjusting it. The dangerous thing is it can feel intelligent while it's happening. But nothing happens. Let's be honest. Now, on things happening, if you're on LinkedIn, stop by, check me out there. Feel free to connect. Got a strong network which will benefit you. So more practical leadership growth there. Do take time to check us out on LinkedIn. Back into it, people. Think honestly about something you worked on recently. Be honest with yourself. Did it genuinely require the amount of time you gave it? Or did perfectionism quietly extend the process beyond what was necessary? We see this a lot in committee decisions, by the way. Now, if that sounds real, do comment. It'll help you, it'll help me, and it might help someone else. Back into progress. We've discussed this previously. Progress requires output. Doesn't require perfection. Just start. Imperfect action still creates movement, and you can learn from that. Perfect thinking creates hesitation. Hesitation slows things down, less things happen. That's so important to understand. Here's something practical in that space that you can start doing immediately. You've heard of a financial budget? Do a thing called a time budget. Before starting a task, decide how long should this realistically take. Not how long could it take, how long should it take based on the return on investment, on how important it actually is. That distinction matters because once you create a time boundary, it forces decision making. Imagine a well-run meeting. The start of the meeting, okay guys, I've scheduled this meeting for an hour. These are the things we want to get out of it. Before we start, I just want to check, does anybody here require a hard stop? And usually the one that manages their time will say, yes, I do require a hard stop because I have several more tasks after that. So that's really good respect there from the person at the start of the meeting saying, does anybody require a hard stop? The person at the end, yes, I do. I do require a stop, bang on time. Right, okay, let's work to the agenda, people. And then the convener will generally along the meeting say, look, we've got half an hour to go. For example, we've got half an hour left in our meeting. We've gotten through these things, but we haven't closed that one out. Shall we work on that? And then we should be in a position to make a decision. That is good time budgeting right there. That's an example of time budgeting in a meeting environment. But you can do it with any task. Once you create that time boundary, as I said, you force decision making. You force completion. And it stops low value work from consuming high value time. So if we make this practical, let's think about emails. Does every email need 10 minutes? Probably not. Reports. Does this need to be flawless? Or does it simply need to be clean, accurate, and useful? I go with useful. And accurate. More useful, to be honest with you. Planning. Are you genuinely preparing? Or are you avoiding action through endless preparation? My planning is really simple. What are the most important things I need to do this month? What are the most important things I need to do this week? From that, what are the most important things I need to do today? And of those, what is the most important thing I need to do? Right, that's what I'm going to do. And all high performers follow a similar path. You hit that one thing that's most important, you get it done, you move on to the next. But you also think, well, how many hours have I gotten today? How long is each task going to take me? Realistically, these are the ones I can achieve. Don't think about the rest. That's a time vampire. Just think about the ones that you need to deliver right now that'll move the dial on the other projects. So that's probably about the limit of my preparation, to be honest with you. And then I just get into it. Now, as I said, although that seemed quite casual, it doesn't mean lowering standards. It just means applying the right level of effort and time to each task. As I said, not everything deserves perfection. Some things do. But most things just need to be completed so momentum can continue. The thing I do today might set me up for the other thing that needs to happen later this week. And if that thing that happens later this week is super important, I better get that thing done today. End of story. Time vampire coming inbound. Hey mate, can I talk to you for a minute? Not right now, mate. I've got this other task that I need to close out. It'll take me about half an hour. Can I come and get you after that? Remember the last episode, the time vampire person? Right, I've eliminated me as a time vampire by my planning, and I'm preventing other people from taking my time. Suddenly what's important starts to happen. Do you see where we are? Now let's go into another important layer, and this is what I've just described, awareness. You need to recognize your patterns. When do you procrastinate most? That might be a time of day thing. What kind of tasks might trigger overthinking for you? Well, what situations create hesitation? Because if you can identify that pattern, you can deal with it. You can interrupt it. You can stop it right there. That's really powerful. Here's something simple you can use immediately. The next time you catch yourself delaying something important, ask yourself this question. What is the next small step? Not the entire project. What is the next small step? Not the whole future outcome. That's overthinking. Just the next actionable movement. Like I said, I need to get this thing done later this week. For that to happen, I need to do this today. The thing I need to do today won't be massive necessarily, but I'm doing it. Now, that action, pardon me, that action stops any hesitation. I feel great because I'm productive. And that gives me momentum. Now, I'll close this out. Behavior-based time vampires. Me, you, all of us. Behavior-based time vampires. They're difficult. Remember, it feels normal. They feel justified, logical, reasonable. But is it getting us where we want to go? If the answer is no, then you know that those justified, reasonable behaviors that we're comfortable with, they're slowing us down everywhere. So our job isn't to eliminate those behaviors perfectly, but it's to recognize them and manage them intentionally. Right, I have 10 minutes to move through my email and make sure that all the important ones are closed out, for example. How am I going to do that? I'll sort by conversation. Okay, that conversation header, I know I've closed that one out. Move them all to the completed folder. Boom, there's 10 emails gone instead of one move. Sometimes it's about better systems, but at the end of my 10 minutes, right, I still haven't sorted through all my emails, but I got rid of a chunk of them. Now I've got to get on to the next thing. And I stick to that. Now, again, as I said, your results are built from repeated actions. Repeated actions are sharpened by repeated habits. That's why awareness matters so much. Using the email example, if I then went through every email like a robot, that could take me 2 hours. And that thing I needed to do today hasn't happened. If this episode gave you something useful that you can use, please take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, share. That'd be awesome. Remember, of course, progress is not built through perfection. It's built through consistent forward movement. And coincidentally, this is the long way forward. No shortcuts here, people. Thank you for being here. Thanks for taking the time to watch, listen, and I'll hopefully see you in the next episode.